Tank up there in the top 10 in pound for pound. He has to be somewhere in pound for pound. And Canelo done something that is amazing when Canelo was able to go to light heavyweight and become light heavyweight champion. Something that I didn't even see him going up that heavy, and he did that. So, but as of right now, I have to put Terence Crawford as number one.
Mayweather Jr., one of boxing's greatest defensive masterminds, has shared his insights on a potential blockbuster fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. As an undefeated champion who has faced Alvarez in the ring and closely followed Crawford's rise, Mayweather's perspective carries significant weight. His breakdown of this matchup considers both fighters' strengths, weaknesses, and...
Earl had a chance to hang around Terence, and both guys, class act, both. I'm proud of Terence Crawford. I'm proud of him. But you know, after the fight, after all the Terence Crawford fights, I always text him or call him and say congratulations. With Earl Spence, same thing. You know, a lot of times you're gonna hear certain things. You know, I'm not jealous of these fighters. I'm proud of these fighters. I'm for real. I'm very, very.
Mayweather's analysis is particularly interesting because he was the first to expose Canelo Alvarez's weaknesses when they fought in 2013. At the time, Alvarez was an undefeated rising star with an impressive record, but he struggled against Mayweather's superior boxing IQ, defensive skills, and counterpunching ability. In that fight, Mayweather showcased why he was levels above the competition, winning by majority decision despite the bout being largely won.
Floyd Mayweather at what? You're 23?
23.
That's so fucking young.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I trained so hard, and now obviously I try to beat him because, you know, if you beat him, you want to be the best in the world at 23.
What do you think was so impressive about him?
His experience, he's so smart. He have everything in a fighter, a complete fighter. He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
What do you think?
I think it's tough fights and difficult fights.
Cited in his favor. Ability to evade Canelo's punches and land clean counters highlighted the Mexican fighter's difficulties against elusive boxers. Over the years, Canelo has dramatically improved his skills, becoming a multi-division world champion and dominating various weight classes. However, Mayweather still believes that technical fighters like Crawford...
Who's the best fighter in the world?
We can't put Tank up there in the top 10 in pound for pound. He has to be somewhere in pound for pound. And Canelo done something that is amazing when Canelo was able to go to light heavyweight and become light heavyweight champion. Something that I didn't even see him going up that heavy, and he did that. So, but as of right now, I have to...
Mayweather has also been vocal in his admiration for Terence Crawford, often calling him the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Crawford's ability to switch stances seamlessly between orthodox and southpaw makes him one of the most unpredictable fighters in boxing. His high ring IQ allows him to read opponents and adjust his strategy mid-fight, an ability Mayweather himself was known for during his career. Crawford has showcased his dominance in the welterweight division, most notably with his dismantling of Errol Spence Jr., proving that he operates on another level. However, the biggest question surrounding a potential fight with Canelo Alvarez is whether Crawford can carry his skills up to a higher weight class and withstand the power of a naturally bigger fighter. Canelo is known for his devastating power, particularly his left hook and body shots, which have broken down some of the best fighters in the world. His ability to absorb punches and walk through shots has made him a feared opponent across multiple divisions. Having fought as high as 175 lbs, Canelo holds a clear advantage in size and strength over Crawford, who has never competed above 147 lbs. Since his loss to Mayweather, Canelo has also significantly improved his defense, incorporating more head movement and upper body slips to avoid punches. However, one of his lingering weaknesses remains his struggle against fighters with elite movement and defensive skills. Dimitri Bivol, for example, defeated Canelo with a dominant performance by using lateral movement, foot speed, and counterpunching to neutralize his power. Mayweather sees similarities between Bivol and Crawford, particularly in their ability to frustrate opponents with boxing IQ and tactical discipline. Crawford's strengths lie in his ability to control the pace of a fight, land precise counterpunches, and adjust his approach based on his opponent's style. While his knockout power at welterweight is undeniable, the key question is whether his punches will carry enough impact to keep
fighters right now in boxing. That's your top 5 right now in boxing, not your that top 5 in boxing right now. Right now.
Champions or just anybody?
Top 5 right now.
Shakur #1, hands down. Tank, he up there. Canelo, Inoue, Tyson Fury.
Damn. That's now beforehand. Back in the day.
keep the Mexican champion at bay. One concern for Crawford is that he sometimes takes a few rounds to adjust before taking control. Against a powerful puncher like Canelo, a slow start could be costly. If Crawford gets caught with a big shot early on, especially in a higher weight class, it might be difficult for him to recover. Mayweather has pointed out that while Canelo is an elite fighter, Crawford's technical skill set gives him a legitimate chance to win. He believes that Crawford's superior footwork and counter-punching ability could present significant problems for Canelo. However, he also acknowledges that weight plays a crucial role in boxing, and Canelo's experience at higher weight classes could make the difference. If the fight were to take place at super middleweight, Canelo would have a natural advantage in size and strength, making it much harder for Crawford to execute his game plan. A catchweight bout around 160 lbs could help level the playing field, allowing Crawford to retain his speed advantage without sacrificing too much power. One of the biggest misconceptions in boxing is that Crawford's win over Errol Spence Jr. at 147 lbs means he could replicate that performance against Canelo Alvarez. Mayweather has cautioned against this comparison, noting that Spence and Canelo are very different fighters. While Spence was a dominant welterweight, he doesn't possess the same power or physical presence as Canelo. Additionally, Spence had never faced an elite counterpuncher like Crawford, whereas Canelo has already squared off against some of the best defensive fighters in the world, including Mayweather himself. Canelo has also proven that he can absorb punches from bigger fighters, something Crawford has never had to deal with in his career. If this fight were to happen,
needs to understand he's a different fighter now. The deterioration is there. He's not the same guy. He's not that destroyer who's looking for knockouts early and keeps a pace and a pressure on you. He throws 30 punches around. You're not the same guy. So telling everyone you're going to knock them out and then going into, 6 decisions in a row now? Scores a knockdown every time. Power's still there. The problem is the pace and the ability to carry on and push. That's the real difference, and that comes with age. He's 34 going on 45 at this, as far as I'm concerned. He's got a ton of fights, been around for a long time, doesn't have that same desire, the same drive to take the chances against these younger, bigger guys, because he is fighting younger.
There are 2 primary scenarios that could unfold. In one scenario, if Canelo successfully pressures Crawford, cuts off the ring, and lands his power shots, he could overwhelm Crawford and win, either by knockout or a decisive decision. Canelo's ability to invest in body shots and wear down his opponents has been a key strategy in many of his victories and could prove effective against Crawford, who has never faced someone with Canelo's punching power. In the other scenario, if Crawford can use his movement, ring IQ, and counter-punching skills to outbox Canelo, he could win by decision in a fight similar to Mayweather's victory over Alvarez. The key for Crawford would be to avoid prolonged exchanges and prevent Canelo from planting his feet to deliver power shots. From a historical perspective, a fight between Canelo, Alvarez, and Terence Crawford would be one of the biggest boxing events in modern times. A victory for Canelo would further cement his legacy as the best pound-for-pound fighter of his era, proving he can handle elite boxers regardless of their style. On the other hand, if Crawford were to win, it would be a monumental achievement, solidifying his status as one of the greatest fighters ever. Moving up multiple weight classes to defeat a champion like Canelo would place him in rare company, alongside legendary boxers who defied size disadvantages to make history. Mayweather's final assessment of this potential fight is measured. While he respects Canelo's power and accomplishments, he leans toward Crawford, due to his technical brilliance. However, Mayweather stops short of a definitive prediction, acknowledging that the weight difference is a major factor. If this fight materializes, it would be a clash of two of the best boxers of their generation, a battle of power versus precision, and a bout that could define the legacy of both men for years to come. Dreams often turn into reality, and the recent surge in negotiations for a showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is proof of that. After years of stalled talks, discussions have suddenly gained momentum, leaving fans stunned and the boxing world buzzing with anticipation. Since news broke about the fight becoming a real possibility, fans, analysts, and fighters alike have flooded the conversation with predictions and debates. Unsurprisingly, Canelo Alvarez has emerged as the early favorite in most forecasts. Yet, in an unexpected twist, a growing number of voices are rallying behind Crawford, affectionately known as Bud. On Tuesday, Jake Paul added his name to that group. Appearing alongside his business partner, Nakisa Bidarian, on the debut episode of the Ring Champs podcast, Paul shared his thoughts on the potential fight. With a spark in his eye, Paul acknowledged that the weight difference makes the matchup particularly intriguing. It's interesting because of the weight class. "We haven't seen Terence go up there. Will he have the power?" Paul questioned, noting the challenge of Crawford packing on nearly 13 pounds to step into the ring. Despite his concerns, the 27-year-old YouTuber-turned-boxer expressed confidence in Crawford's skills. "I do think Terence has the ability and is a bit fresher than Canelo," Paul said. Canelo fought twice last year, while Crawford only had one bout, potentially giving the latter an edge in freshness. Ultimately, Paul concluded, "If I had to put my money on it, I'd probably go with Terence." His opinion surprised many, especially considering the overwhelming support Canelo has received from the rest of the combat sports world. Paul's business partner, Nakisa Bidarian, immediately disagreed, stating, "I think Canelo destroys him." And that sentiment echoes across much of the boxing community. A few months ago, during an interview with Fight Hype, Matchroom boxing head Eddie Hearn predicted Canelo would dominate, citing the significant size disparity. "Crawford can't really fight the same way in that fight because he's at a massive size disadvantage," Hearn stated. Demetrius Andrade, speaking with Fight Hub TV, agreed. Even though Crawford is a close...
He hasn't learned how to lose yet. I think he does have those special ingredients that go beyond the physical genetics, the physical DNA. So that's it. Okay? Good. You don't like it?
Power, that stuff is real. Canelo is a big bad wolf, he said. Crawford has the skills, but when it comes to taking shots and dealing with Canelo's power, that's a losing battle. Even WBC interim light heavyweight champion David Benavidez, who has his own rivalry with Canelo, acknowledged Crawford's brilliance, but added, "Weight classes exist for a reason. I'd give Canelo the edge." Although nothing has been officially confirmed, it appears that Terence Crawford is closer than ever to securing the mega fight he's long dreamed of. Jumping 2 weight divisions and conceding 14 pounds would be a daunting challenge for most fighters. But Crawford has never shied away from defying the odds. As previously reported, negotiations are in full swing, with both camps working to finalize the details. As the showdown inches closer to reality, the boxing world remains sharply divided, caught between power and precision, and eagerly awaiting what could become a defining moment in the sport's modern history. Stepping up 14 pounds to face a top-tier super middleweight is no small feat, especially when that opponent is a pound-for-pound legend like Canelo Alvarez, who has ruled the super middleweight division since 2020. A potential showdown between Canelo and Terence Crawford would be considered a true super fight, not only because of their individual achievements, but because of the unique challenges they present to one another. In a surprising take on this highly anticipated clash, Israil Madrimov, who faced Crawford last year, shared his prediction. Madrimov, who suffered a unanimous decision loss to Crawford in their WBA light middleweight title bout in August, offered a candid assessment. He believes that the significant jump in weight will be too much for Crawford to overcome. "It's a very different weight class," Madrimov said. "Canelo will win, I think by decision." Despite Madrimov's skepticism, all eyes remain on this potential mega fight. Tentatively set for September in Las Vegas, no official confirmation has been made, but negotiations are reportedly progressing rapidly. Turki Alal Sheikh, head of Riyadh Season, has been leading the efforts, working to bring two of boxing's biggest names together for an epic showdown. After months of rumors, it finally appears that the pound-for-pound champions are closing in on a deal. Meanwhile, Madrimov is focused on bouncing back from his first career defeat. His next test comes against the undefeated Ortiz, who boasts a flawless record of 22 wins and is in peak condition for their upcoming clash. Another notable voice weighing in on the Canelo versus Crawford fight is WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson. According to reports, the two legends are preparing to meet in September, despite Crawford having to jump 2 weight classes, from super welterweight to super middleweight. Stevenson believes he can still outbox Alvarez. Terence outboxes. The expletive out of Canelo, Stevenson told IFL TV. The buzz around this matchup has continued to grow, especially following comments from Crawford's trainer, Brian "Bomac" McIntyre. In a recent interview with Ring Magazine, McIntyre confirmed that the fight will proceed without a rehydration clause, meaning Alvarez will face no limits on how much weight he can regain after weigh-in. Bomac criticized the idea of a rehydration clause altogether, saying, "That's weak. You got on the scale, I made weight.